with a video, finally using my new camera, my Canon G7X. And as promised, I'm here with my husband, Chris, and
Hello.
We're going to do a Q&A for you guys. So I asked for questions and I got a lot of questions. I kind of trying to put them into categories so we don't duplicate and say things over and over and over. So I'm gonna start with two questions and they are kind of in the same vein. The first one's from Jenny Q and she says, how did you meet? Was it love at first sight? And Heather G asked, what made you attracted to Amy? So I'm gonna let you answer those two first.
You don't want to answer half of one of them?
I might answer some of it.
Okay. Well, for me, obviously it was her obvious beauty, her love of alternative rock music, and her IBM clone PC with a amber monochrome monitor. That did it, really.
Tell them what year we met, because that might make this make more sense.
Early 89.
89, we met in 89. So what he's talking about is that when I was single, I actually had a friend who ended up working at the same company as my husband, which was kind of quirky, but is that I was building a computer for myself, an IBM clone, if any of you old people remember those. And
The actual IBM ones were too expensive. So.
Yeah, and I was really excited because actually I didn't have an amber monitor. I wanted one, I had the green one.
Ah.
Yeah, so do you remember? But I kept droning on and on about how I wanted the amber one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't have the amber monitor. They hadn't come out with the amber yet. They were talking about it, and so I had to get the one with the green, which is, you know, the green text. So yeah, that was fabulous. So anyway, so that's what attracted you to me. Okay.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So how did we meet? And was it love at first sight? I'll chime in here a little bit on this one too.
Well, I think she was stalking me actually before we met, so it wasn't totally accidental, but I was heading out, so we lived in the same apartment complex, unbeknownst to each other, and well, maybe she knew first, but across the hall at the apartment complex. And so a friend and I one night were heading out to go to a concert, and the door just happens to pop open across the hall, and out pops this beautiful woman. Oh, hi. I just happened to be coming out when you were coming out. So
yeah, he's right.
That was pretty much it.
It was pretty calculated. I just want to know, like, who was the guy living across the hall? So I heard the door open and all right, so I'll tell the next part. So he was going to a Replacements concert and he was wearing an Iggy Pop t-shirt that his brother made. Mm-hmm. Okay, his brother made it, he like screen printed it. And when I met him, he had a mohawk and he wore really, really tight jeans and this shirt that was like it was like a short sleeve t-shirt that had been cut off and it had Iggy Pop on it and it was like super old. Here, I need to turn this down.
I still have the shirt, by the way. So now it's really super old.
It's really old. How many years old is that thing? It's 30. No. It's got to be more than 40 years old. It's old.
Yeah, 37, 38.
It's old. So anyway, he was wearing this t-shirt. He was going to a Replacements concert and I said, oh, you're going to the Replacements? And he's like, you know who the Replacements are? And I'm like, yes, I love the Replacements. So I'll let you take it from here. So because I knew the Replacements, you thought that was pretty cool,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Did we go in and talk?
No, you guys were leaving.
Yeah,
so they were leaving. They were leaving to this. Wait, he was with his friend, and honestly, I kind of thought his friend was cute, not to be mean or anything. So I kind of thought his friend was cute, but later on down the road, I found out his friend was like a jerk. But anyway, so they went off to the concert, and then did I leave you the first note, or did you? I left you the first note, right? Okay, yeah. So I left a note on his door saying, hey, how was the concert? Did you guys have fun or whatever? And he wrote me back and said on a little white piece of paper, which we still have those. I should have pulled those out. Saying that the concert was awesome and would I ever want to go. He said he worked a later shift, like 11 no, 3 to 11.
Yeah.
And so would I want to go to lunch with him one day? And so, and then he signed it, the guy with the mohawk, and he drew a little picture of a guy with a mohawk with the hair standing up. Yeah, it was pretty cute. It was very 80s. So anyway, we ended up, he came to my work to have lunch, and it really was kind of a weird, slow start. I wasn't immediately attracted to him. Really had nothing to do with him. It's just that I had such a history of dating guys that were kind of jerks, and he was such a nice guy. Were you gonna say something? No. And so he was such a nice guy that I kind of, I guess I discounted it because I thought, well, you know, he's not like the other guys, which was a blessing really in disguise. But anyway, so
here we are. I guess it worked.
Here we are. Anyway, so we went on a date that actually wasn't that great of a date, and we didn't see each other for a while after that date, because on that date, we went out for dinner, and when I got in the car, he was playing all my favorite music, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is really trying to impress me. He was playing the Smiths, he was playing the Replacements, he was playing The Cure, and all the stuff I love, and I mean, normally you'd be like super thrilled that somebody was doing this, but I was mentally screwed up in the brain, and I only like guys who weren't good to me, and so I didn't like it. And so we went out for dinner, and during dinner we talked about politics and stuff, and religion. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. And by the time we had the check came, I was like, oh my gosh, I pull out my money and I go to pay the bill for myself, and I knew he was like, oh my gosh, why is she trying to pay for herself? So he just ended up paying for himself, and then I was annoyed secretly because he paid for himself and not for me and didn't offer. And so anyway, we get back in the car, we go back to the apartments, and we were supposed to rent movies and watch movies together, right, that night? And I was kind of like, I'm just gonna go home. I don't feel like doing anything else. Do y'all hear that noise? That's my dog, she's chewing a bone. So anyway, so we went back, and then he was really nice. He was like, okay, you know, and he just went back to his apartment, and I went to my apartment. And so then I didn't see him for like 3 weeks. I didn't see him coming up the stairs. I didn't see his car. He had a little red Honda CRX. And so I didn't see his car. And so here's me, I'm so cocky. I'm thinking he's parking his car somewhere else so he doesn't have to see me. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, so wrong, because about 3 weeks later I find out that he actually had a car accident and his car was in the shop. And so I felt really bad thinking that he had just parked his car somewhere else. But anyway, how did we end up really though getting together and it becoming something?
You put the note on the door, on my door, about UTDs.
Yeah,
so I think I had said that I might want to go back to take some classes or something, and so there was a new, I don't know, 2-year engineering.
It was 4, that was what made it different. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, some engineering degree or something at UTD, and so she thought I might be interested, and so she, I think, put that and a note, I guess, together or something on the door. So.
Yeah, and then you wrote me back and you said, do you want to go and see The Cure with me and my friends? And I was like, yes. So we ended up going to this outdoor concert. We saw The Cure, and was that when Tom Petty opened? Mm-hmm. And Tom Petty opened for The Cure, which was a weird mix. And we got to hear Shelly Ann Orphan, which is a band that you really don't hear about today, but if you look them up, they're just so awesome. We really fell in love with that group as well. Shelly Ann Orphan is their name. And so anyway, we went to this concert with some of his friends, and it was really fun. We had a really good time. And then we decided when Harry Met Sally was coming out, and so we were like, we should go see that movie. And we went and saw that movie, and if you guys have seen When Harry Met Sally, you know that it's about 2 people that are friends, and they talk pretty much throughout the whole movie about how men and women really can't be friends, and he's really attracted to her. And anyway, long story short, I ended up finding myself really seeing Chris more like a boyfriend, and we started to date. I told him that, and we started to date, and we dated for 4 months. very short period of time. And then Chris told me, he lived across the hall from me before I moved in, so his lease was coming up. And he had asked me if I wanted to rent a house with him. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna rent a house with a guy. And so, I told the girl that I work with, I'm like, he's gonna move away, you know, and she's like, well, you know, why don't you ask him to stay or whatever. So I called him up on the phone and I said, you know, I really don't want you to move away. Would you want to move into my apartment with me? But see, he wanted to move into a house because he wanted to have a garage because he loves to work on cars and stuff like that and build things. And so anyway, I asked him if he wanted to move in with me and he said yes. And I was like, but I would never live with anybody unless I was married to them or getting married to them. And he's like, okay. So we got engaged, and he got me a ring, and we got married 10 months later, and it was awesome. And we've been married 27 years. All right, so let's get into something that doesn't have to do with our boring, non-romantic relationship. No, it's very romantic. Okay, so Terry B asked, do you think if Amy had to stop cooking for some reason that you could do it? In other words, are you as good of a cook as Amy, and are you good at meal planning?
I can cook just fine. Give me a recipe. I'm not maybe great at coming up with combinations of things or, you know, whipping up something completely from scratch. But if I have a recipe or at least have maybe kind of watched something being made before, I can certainly cook fine. Where I'm not as great is in the whole planning thing. It's not that I can't plan, there's not a lot to it. It's just, it's, you know, just not as inclined to do it, I think, is probably more, you know, the problem than anything. So,
but if I wasn't here, could you do all that without me?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to. So, you know, just have to buckle down and
do
my planning on Sunday or whatever.
He's
Saturday.
Being modest because he's actually a really, really good cook. All right, so let's see. Who's a better, oh, this is from Shelly C in Canada. Who's a better gardener, you or Amy? LOL, she wrote at the end of it. Who's a better gardener? We're kind of both good.
Yeah.
What are you good at? Because you're good at some parts.
Yeah, making rows really straight. But that's not necessarily a good thing. So that doesn't really make me necessarily a better gardener. So
he does do straight rows, but I do my stuff like all random and it grows awesome.
Maybe it's architecturally better, but
it looks prettier.
Might not grow more, you know, give you more yield. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're both good. Yeah, I have less time. I'm not here 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day, so it makes it much harder for me to. I'm tired when I come home, and so I'm less inclined to walk out in the backyard and start being Farmer Johnson.
Farmer Johnson. So I do, basically what happens is he built the garden. He a lot of times puts the seed in for me, but now that I'm kind of not doing those rows anymore, I'm kind of doing my own thing. And sometimes he'll head out there like when he's picking up dog poop and he'll come in and say, hey, look, you're a cucumber. He found something hanging over the side or whatever, so. Okay, let's see. What are some ways you inspire and encourage each other on this journey? If I remember correctly, your husband is the one who first decided to eat whole foods plant-based, right? And this is Angie. Actually, Ann, he suggested that we do it, but we all did it at the same time. Yeah. So would you have any suggestions for those of us whose family members, while supportive in many ways, do not eat plant-based and are not interested in it? So what are some ways that we inspire each other or encourage each other on the journey?
We don't really need a lot of encouragement, which is the good thing. But, you know, I think just conversations that we have with each other, just as I notice things as we go along, you know, at first things maybe seem more bland because we're not doing as many processed things, and so there's less salt or sugar or whatever in the food. But as time goes on, you notice, hey, you know, it doesn't seem as bland anymore. And so just kind of talking about those things and talking them out, I think kind of, you know, you might say something that the other person's been thinking but they haven't said it or whatever, and so you just kind of ping pong, you know, thoughts off of each other. But like I started out saying, it's, you know, this hasn't been really hard. We're both very dedicated to it, and we're not going to stray. So we feel bad for the couples that do have one or the other that either isn't doing it at all or is doing it kind of here and there, on and off. Mm-hmm. We're in it for the long haul. So, you know, I think Amy does a great job with her counseling in helping maybe one or the other of a couple to, you know, try to encourage their spouse or whatever. And so, but unfortunately, since we don't have that issue, you know, maybe we don't have all the ideas or, right, you know, that other people might have that situation. I think the best thing you can do is you just have to let them come along. Amy and I are both Christians, we're believers, and so it's similar to introducing somebody to
your spiritual beliefs.
To your spiritual beliefs, yeah. And you have to just really live it and just be a light to that person.
I was gonna say exactly that. We've been together too long. I was gonna say the same thing.
And you just hope that your example, you know, in whatever it is a good example, obviously, and that they just see that, and they see all of the advantages and the blessings and the things that you're gaining from, you know, that change, and you just pray that they come along with you at some point.
Yep, I would have said exactly the same thing. So, okay, Sherry P wants to know, what plant-based meals do you like me to cook for you? So what are some of your favorite things? You can pick her up and show everybody your baby. We've got a baby down here.
She just had surgery.
We had a little black baby that had surgery. Hi, little girl. I love you. I love you. Okay.
Can you look over here?
Say hi. Okay. So what plant-based meals? There she is. So what plant-based meals do you like for me to cook for you?
All of them. I don't know that I really have favorites. There's one I did ask for, though, on my birthday / Father's Day. Is a meal that we used to eat a lot more. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's certainly better than eating hamburgers, but it is a little higher in fat than a lot of the things we eat now. And so it's a peanut tofu and kale over udon noodles. And so like a peanutty, you know, spicy peanut sauce with baked tofu, and all mixed with kale, and then steamed kale, and then put over udon noodles. That's really good. But
how about
just a lot of things.
How about tofu scramble?
Yeah.
Oh, he loves.
That's right, tofu scramble.
He loves my Tex-Mex tofu.
We haven't had it in a while, but yeah, I mean it's really good.
Yeah, we make it with potatoes in it, and it's really good.
But even some of the she does some great burgers. A couple different, like a black bean burger and a chickpea burger. Those are really good. Put all kinds of good veggies and lettuce and whatever on those. Those
Tomatoes
are great. But even simple things like our our sushi bowls that we do. So it's just kind of disassembled sushi all in a bowl, and just simple things like that are just, you know, awesome. So they don't have to be, the food doesn't have to be super complicated. It's nice sometimes if it is, you know, certainly nice if it has, you know, a lot of good seasonings and flavors and things. And Amy's really good. That's one thing she's better about, is being more adventurous at trying different flavor combinations and stuff. So, but I always enjoy all of them. So
yeah, he's a great person to cook for. Here is another one. Randy K also asked, since she has so many great recipes, what is your favorite meal that Mrs. Plant makes? So I think we pretty much just answered that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Venus asked, what benefits have you seen as a man eating plant-based?
It's certainly...
That was a great question, Venus, too, because a lot of men don't think plants are cool, so...
I don't think it's well, so this part I don't think specific to men, but it's certainly, and you'll see this in all the videos and literature or whatever, that it's certainly a lot easier to maintain your God-given body weight. You know, if you don't move at all, it's certainly, you know, it can creep up. So I had shoulder surgery last September, and within 3 or 4 months, I had gained at least 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And when you're only 125 to start with, that kind of shows up. And so, but I think if I was eating much higher calorie dense foods, I think it would have, you know, could have gone considerably higher. So.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
So you guys probably don't know this, but I like really skinny guys. So just.
You better. No choice.
I like really skinny, shorter guys. So perfect, and bald. So it's perfect. But
so one thing I noticed is in whatever kind of exercise I'm doing, if I'm running or riding or lifting weights, for one thing, recovery is like amazing. I rarely feel, you know, fatigued for very long at all, unless I haven't been riding or running for a long time or something. But if I'm, you know, keeping up regularly with it, you know, the recovery is very fast. Even if, like, if I go to do my weights, you know, a lot of times I'm really not, maybe tired, feel maybe kind of like sleepy type tired, or just mentally not really, you know, into it. But once I start actually exercising, I find that I feel really strong. So it's crazy. You know, I'm like tired, but I don't feel like, oh, I can't push these weights, you know. So, and like when I ride my bike, kind of same kind of thing. I get on it and I don't necessarily feel strong, but then I start pushing and I'm, you know, I can really.
Can you show them your muscles? Can you see? I don't know if y'all can see. He's pretty muscular for an older man.
Well, and so that's kind of the benefit number 3. So if you are eating lower calorie dense, lower fat, and as long as you know, you're not gonna not eat enough. You're not just gonna keep losing weight. You're gonna eat enough to maintain. But the other benefit is, you know, kind of tell how, you know, lean looking, you know, so you can see all the definition, you know, in the muscles and stuff. So, you know, have fat kind of covering everything, so you don't look like the blobby strong guys that have no definition.
They're really buff, but they've got a lot of fat under there.
They're just kind of smooth, and so yeah. So you can actually, a guy asked me one time when we were working out at the Y, he goes, "Oh, how do you get your muscles looking like?" I said, "Well, you just have lower body fat." You know,
yeah.
It's not necessarily, your muscles don't have to be that big. I'm not really that strong. It's just the muscles show more because there's less fat around them.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true. All right, so this is a great question from Kathy B. She says, how do you support me when I'm struggling with my eating habits? So before I say that, let's just go back real quick. And I just want to say that Chris and I have been married for 27 years, and Chris knows everything about me. We talk about everything. We are best friends, and he does not judge me, or, you know, he probably does think I'm a little weird. But so he knows all about the weird things I've done and struggles that I even still have now. And so I think one of the most important things to note about a good marriage is that a good marriage includes being honest. And so he knows even the worst things about me, and he still loves me, which I appreciate that. So what do you do when I struggle with my eating habits? What are some of the things you do? And he's amazing, by the way, at that.
Well, she can be pretty sensitive, and so, you know, I can't, you know, I cannot come off as, you know, condescending or
preachy.
You know, or, preachy. And so I really just have to be there to be a sounding board and just let her talk it out. I guess kind of maybe indirectly, you know, she knows this and points this out sometimes, is that sometimes I'll have a thought that, oh, it'd be nice to go get a dessert or something, but usually I just don't say anything because, you know, she is trying to lose some more weight, and so I'm trying to be helpful in that area, and so I generally am not the person that might, you know, say, hey, let's go get something. So, you you know, just trying not to sabotage her. I do love my chocolate though, and so maybe I shouldn't have it around, and I've really not asked her that. I probably should, but
have I touched it?
I just try to be, no, she does great
Nope.
about not touching it, but you know, maybe it's hard though. That
It's really not hard anymore. It was hard at first. I was never really a big dark chocolate person, which is good. He's always been a dark chocolate person, even when we weren't vegan. And so I was always a milk chocolate person. Of course, I always like the junkier foods.
I wasn't forever. I mean, I don't know when I can't remember when it started even, but
I don't know. I always remember.
I started getting the Lindt chocolate. I don't know where the heck that even
But that's
started.
before you were vegan.
I was,
Yeah.
but not 27 years ago.
Oh, no. Because I don't even think we really were into dark chocolate when we were younger.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so he, definitely I've mentioned before, but chocolate's a struggle for me, and not necessarily that it's dark, but that's all we can eat now. So, so I have to put some protections in place for that, but I also don't want him not to have it, you know? So I want him to have it. Go ahead. What were you going to say? You had something in your mind.
Well, no, just so so it's similar to like the whole working out thing. So I can't really, you know, say, hey, you need to work out. That doesn't work. And so it's better to let her friends help her in those areas. So in a lot of cases, you know, it's great that she has a lot of online friends because, you know, they are super helpful to her, and she doesn't get all nasty and mad at them if they say stuff to her. So that, so that's another way I help.
It's
is
hard
I
to
just,
hear
I
from
allow her to have her friends to help her out.
And then he's kind of like, yes, I'm glad they told her to go lift weights. Thanks, Heather. Right? Or thanks, Kim. Kim was always telling me to lift weights.
Right.
Yeah.
So just being supportive and, you know, there to listen. And
Not
if
sabotaging.
certainly if she asks for advice or, you know.
And I do.
You know, if I have any advice to give, I certainly give it. You know. But still with love and grace and you know, gentleness.
And eggshell walking. Yeah. Also, another thing is when he does want snacks or treats, or like around the holidays, if the boys and I put things in his stocking, he brings that stuff to work or takes it out of the house. He tries not to have it around for me, which I really appreciate.
Unless it's something that she just doesn't like at all.
Yeah, if
It's
I don't
not a
like
big
it,
deal,
no
but,
problem.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question I've got was from Teresa G, and she says, what keeps you motivated knowing there will be off days to be able to get back on track? So I would say that what keeps me motivated is just the benefits I've already experienced. So I don't want to be back on medication. I don't want to be wearing women's size clothes anymore, plus size clothing. I don't want to be unable to move and do things that I want to do. I don't want to wear a seat extender on an airplane. I do want to fit into chairs anywhere I go. So I have a lot of motivation to keep doing this, but also probably the biggest motivator for both of us, even beyond our own personal health, is that we both and our whole family are huge animal advocates, and we don't want to be the cause of or partake in anything that would harm or hurt animals. And so that is a constant motivator for me. I would never go back to eating any animal product or dairy for that reason. In fact, why don't you show me your shirt? So this is a cool shirt. It says backwards vegan, but it says Nagev for the Slamina, which stands for vegan for the animals. And so we just really believe that animals are a creation that God created, and we know that He would not want them to be hurt in any way, including the way that they're being hurt to provide food for people. And so that's a big motivator for me.
So what about, so that's animal versus non-animal food, but what about
eating healthy versus eating junky
right,
vegan
whole versus
yeah. So I would say one thing that keeps both of us motivated, he would say this too, is just that we feel better when we eat junky vegan food, or if we have any oil or anything like that, we always just feel worse, and It's like, you know, anybody, when we used to not be vegans and we ate out, you know, we eat something really junky, or we went to like the state fair and we would eat just the, you know, whatever, fried Oreos, or you come home and you'd be like, oh, I'm never gonna do that again. And it's just, that keeps you motivated to eat clean, is having bad experiences with food. And you can have bad experiences with vegan food too. So,
right.
Am I tiring you?
It's my nap time.
It's nap time. All right, and so the last one is from Elizabeth B, and she says, I need suggestions for things that are quick and easy to cook, maybe even using the Instant Pot in the heat of the summer, because I can't stand heating up my already hot kitchen. I also fall apart at night because I'm not prepared most of the time. I need suggestions for that. And you just answered your question, Elizabeth. You need to be prepared. That's the key thing. Being prepared has helped us tremendously. I just got finished chopping up all my vegetables for the week, and you just have to have those things available so that you can throw something together. Also, we make a lot of really easy meals. Like our burrito bowls are really simple. It's just taking, you know, 4 or 5 different things and throwing them together with salsa. It's really easy. Rice, corn, beans, lettuce, and salsa, and you have a meal. We just talked about the sushi bowls. We do baked potato night, where we basically just bake potatoes. We throw some nooch on them and some unsweetened soy milk and some of our baconless bits that we make. And then we might have on the side steamed broccoli, or we might make oat cheese for the top, which is more complex. I mean, we would make something more simple, but a baked potato night is great. Making potato pancakes. What else do we make that's really simple? Oh, go ahead.
A lot of our stuff, I was gonna say, in general, we probably use the instant. We have 2 pressure cookers. We probably use those probably more than anything else as far as cooking utensil or cooking appliances go. But the other thing we use is our toaster oven, which is a kind of a larger toaster oven, which is very handy because using the full-blown oven does heat up the kitchen a lot more and costs a lot more to run it. So, and with just the 2 of us, or even with Elliot now, a toaster oven's just fine for a lot of stuff we do, especially when you're baking tofu or even baking potatoes. Yeah. You just don't need
fries. I do all my fries in there. Right, yeah.
Big full-blown. Well, we do. I guess when we initially cook veggie patties, we might do them in the bigger oven, but just for heating them up or whatever, we use the toaster oven. But another quote gadget, it's kind of a big gadget that we have that's amazing, is our induction cooktop. So for those of you that it's not super expensive. They actually are no more expensive than regular cooktops that have like no knobs on them. But the great thing about them is they don't themselves produce heat. They just make the pan or pot that you're using hot. So when you're standing in front of it, especially in the summer, it's fantastic. You're not sitting there just sweating because you have all this heat pouring off of your stove. So as far as that, the heat issue goes, it's really, really nice. So.
Yeah, we love our induction cooktop, and he had to talk me into getting one because I was not wanting to get one. And once we got it, at first it took me quite a bit of time to figure out how it worked, but now I love it. Like I can boil water in just like no time.
Yeah, it's very powerful, and nice. Nothing burns on the cooktop because it does not get hot. The
right, so you know how
not reach 400 degrees. It heats. It reaches only the temperature that the pot puts heat back onto the cooktop, but nowhere near what a radiant type cooktop produces, or a gas.
Well, in the Instant Pot too. That does. I mean, that's right, great because everything's contained in that, and so we like that as well. I don't think our kitchen gets really hot unless we're
just when we have the big oven on.
The big oven, yeah. So we try not to use it.
We just try not, don't use it very much.
Yeah.
A couple of days a week, maybe once, only a week. I don't know.
All right, guys, we are so thrilled to be able to finally bring you a Q&A and to use our new camera, which I love. Thank you, honey, for getting that for me. Appreciate it. And that's going to be that'll be our thumbnail right there, that kiss. So after 27 years, you can still kiss because, I mean, you're married, you should. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great 4th of July. You can tell that we are recording this on a day when my husband's off. So it's really nice. And I will be back walking with you guys tomorrow. Anybody who's walking with me. If you haven't been to my new Mrs. Plant community on Facebook, just type in Mrs. Plant Community and And that's a page where a lot of people that are plant-based or interested in plant-based are getting together and just sharing their ideas and their day and different food they're eating and their exercise and things like that. So you all join us over there at Mrs. Plant Community. And if you haven't checked out my website to try some of my recipes, which you like,
They're
yes?
all awesome,
Yeah.
amazing. So none of them are bad. You can't go wrong with any of them. Just choose one and go.
Yay! So mrsplanintexas.com, so check that out. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and we will be back. Maybe I'm going to do a Q&A at some point with one of my sons, probably my younger son. So you guys can look forward to that in the coming weeks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.